Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Nikki C., all the way from Philadelphia, PA. Yes, you've seen that right. BALM Global has reached 100 interviewed episodes. Super excited to have been celebrating all week long. There's some amazing people that have touched my life within the last year. It's been a phenomenal journey being able to celebrate each and every one of them, what they do, re-highlight them, reintroduce them to our audience. So we have a couple people in the green room here today that are just gonna, again, just share some massive hope and inspiration and why we do what we do. So we're super excited. Before we get into that, I am gonna share a event that we just had, Empower to Inspire, where we just opened up our community on the 20th of May, and we're super excited of that. That is actually going on tour for 2024. So just take a look. Wow, wow, wow. I couldn't even get through the rest of it. There was a few more seconds left, but it was absolutely amazing to again have been in community. That was my full circle story of last May 2022, how I decided to take a chance on myself and give myself permission to succeed, which ultimately got me to writing my first book called Building a Leadership Mindset, starting this podcast right here last September. And we are celebrating 100 episodes completed, uploaded, and shared with the world. And I want to bring up my first guest, who is in Atlanta. He is super awesome and amazing. I met him, I believe, initially through the CLA, but we're going to get his thoughts on that. But we actually launched our book together in January. I'm super excited about what he has going on. So we're going to bring up my friend, Jonathan Ellis. How are you?
Blessed and unstoppable. How are you, Nikki?
I am well. I love it. Blessed and unstoppable. So it's just an honor to have you here. So again, have launched our book together at the same time with the AMA community. And just tell us the name of your book.
The book that you're referring to is Complicated. I say it like that only because I have another book coming out next month. But the book that we launched together is called Uncomplicated.
Yes. And it's just simple ways to uncomplicate your life. And what are some tools that you shared and what really got you to want to write this book?
The inspiration for writing that book is with my one-on-one and group coaching that we offer through Thought Provoking Change. I know so many times that people just overcomplicate so many aspects of life when it doesn't need to be. We have one specific customer or client, and the only reason that she's top of mind is because we had this conversation last night. She said, well, Jonathan, how do I do this? And how do I do that? And, she's just so confused with some of the most simple, basic processes. And I said, stop complicating what you're working on. Stop complicating everything there is to life and business. It's just when you take a step back and you look, most things are not nearly as complicated as what we view them as in the moment that we're wrapped up in the challenge that we're in. And when you apply some very basic principles, you'll realize that taking that step back will allow you to take 10 steps forward and complicate what you're working on, or really uncomplicate what you're working on.
Yes. It's just complicated to try to keep it together, right? Which way do we want to go? Do we want to go the easy, fast route where we don't know what we're doing? Do we want to take some time to kind of um, educate ourselves, get ourselves coachable and ready to take those steps into these journeys? Or do we just overthink and just don't act at all, right? Because that's really what happens when we start to make life complicated, or this space complicated for ourselves, because we start picking at the little things. So what would you tell someone that is having that complication to just move forward?
Mentorship. The biggest step in the right direction is to find someone who has done what you want to do, mirror and match their actions. You find somebody that is living the life you want to live, you align with them, and you find out what they're doing that is different than what you're doing. And when you mirror and match their examples, you will achieve same or very similar results. There are so many laws in effect that govern everything that goes on. And most people are only familiar with laws that are placed by officers and people like that. However, there's laws within the world, laws within the universe, that when you follow them, it uncomplicates so much of life. As an example, law of reciprocity. You get by giving. You give something and you do receive in return. Maybe not from that same person, but yet the law of reciprocity, what goes around karma, they're all linked together. But when you start to understand principles and laws like that, you realize how uncomplicated so much of life should be.
I like that you pick those exact words. How life should be, right? So it all depends on our choices that we make when we're going through these battles in our mind. I call it the inner hater. And definitely adding the principles is a key and a plus to success. So thank you so much for sharing that. And how was your time? So I knew that when I first heard you speak at a November speaking competition that we had again with Ama, and you were actually virtually, I was in the room, and I actually was so moved by what you were saying. I was like, oh, I got to get to know this guy. Who is this Jonathan Ellis guy? So we chatted, we had a virtual coffee, we connected, you got on the show. How was that experience for you?
The people at AMA are great people, and everything that they have put out that I've been involved in has been top notch. From doing the speaker competition back in November virtually to the live event that they did in January, where you and I and many others released our book, and the speaker competition that took place there. It's just all inspiring. And you go into those things and you realize what you do that you expand on, and you realize what you do that you need to work on. And that's the beauty to getting in groups such as that and being associated with yourself, Nikki, is you learn how to just level up step by step by step. The greatest of the greats in speaking, in writing books, in podcasts, very rare that they just come out of the gate and they are at the top.
Right.
Most people, it is a step-by-step process. Now, how many steps it takes you is completely up to you. Again, getting into mentorship, finding who has it and learning from them instead of attempting to do it all on your own. And learning from those is paramount. I learned a lot about writing books from Amelia. And here, 6 months later, I'm releasing a second one. You find those and you mirror and match it. And it takes you so far when you really hone in on what you're taught.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time. Are you going to stick with us until the end? Because I'm going to bring you guys all back so that people can reconnect with you. Are
Yes,
you
I
able
will
to
be here.
stay?
I'll be
Awesome.
here.
So I'm going to put you back in the green room. Thank you so much, Jonathan. So I just want to publicly thank you for just being in community with BALM Global, being part of the BALM Global family, and just let's continue growing together. Super excited of what you have going on, and we'll ask you about some more of that in a bit.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Wow, and we have three more amazing guests in our green room ready to reconnect with you guys and share some additional advice and hope and wisdom. And the next guest that I have, I actually met him for the first time at a BLN Live last December. And it just has been absolutely phenomenal. The support, even when we're so distant and we're on our own journeys, and we can just come back and say, hey, how have you been? What's going on? What's new? Congratulations. And then, we go on about our day and our week, but that connection is still so strong. So I'm going to bring my friend, Matthew Brackett. How are you?
Hello, Nikki. Great to see you again. Great to be here. I really love and appreciate how you build community. You build connections. Very thoughtful. So thank you for all the good work that you do.
Absolutely. I know when we first met, you and Jose Escobar was having a conversation. We were at the BLN Live. I think it was like a mix and mingle
Mm,
before the days of training that we got,
right.
to hear some amazing, phenomenal 6-7 figure earners really just share their knowledge and their
Right.
wisdom. And Jose said, you have to meet this guy. You have to have him on your podcast. You have to hear his story. You have to share his story. And we got to talking. We didn't get to talk as
Mhm.
much as we would like, but then we got
Right.
on a virtual coffee. And tell us how that experience was for you. Learning about what BALM did, learning about, just the CLA as a whole.
Right. Learning about BLN, learning about BALM, learning about CLA, all those. I was new to these networking groups because I had just transitioned from formal ministry and also from active duty in the military. So I was just getting started. And so when we met, I was sort of like, I was out of my element. I was like, I wonder what all this is about, meeting new people. Who am I? What do I do? That whole thing in the entrepreneur world of how do you, how do you communicate who you are and what you do in the least amount of words possible. So I was learning all that. And here we are 6, 7 months later. Isn't that fascinating? It seems
It
like so much.
is. It
It
feels
seems
like
like
yesterday.
right. But so much has happened also since then. So
Yeah.
so here we are, and I mean all those groups have been very helpful. Just really like learning from all those people, and I've since launched my website, which is always a big step because there's a whole journey of gaining clarity that then is portrayed in a website, and around clarity around identity and mission and services and all of that. So in also a social media strategy, which I've implemented with the team. So that's also been helpful. So things are moving in the right direction.
Awesome. So tell us, get a little bit more specific on what you do and how you serve.
Okay, there we go. So there's two types of service. One is the individual coaching. I really believe in the one-on-one process, and it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of energy and investment, but it's very powerful. So it's the individual coaching journey, really geared towards people in leadership roles and senior leadership roles. But I meet them at the intersection between the personal and professional. So on my website, you'll see something that says more than an executive coach. More because we're not just going to deal with the professional side, but we're going to deal with both because I have areas of expertise on both sides,
Right.
right? In the management of the human element, how we manage ourselves, and then how we manage all those in our inner circles and outer circles, and in our organizations, which is so important. So there's the coaching element, and then there's the education or speaking side, which is doing workshops or speaking engagements around a lot of things around personal leadership, leaderships and organizations, all these different types of subtopics of leadership, and that can be tailored to whatever people need. And so those are the two types of services that I offer there. Now, in the individual coaching, I also work with couples. I work with couples that are interested in improving their relationship, It's not therapy, it's coaching. So it's if it's a couple in crisis, I point them usually in another direction. But if it's a couple that's preparing for commitment or for marriage, or they're already married or in a committed relationship and they want to improve things, they want to live better and they want to love better, then I use very sophisticated assessments that help bring a lot of good information to the surface, so that they can know themselves better, they can know their spouse better or partner, and they can love better. And so there's a journey that we do with that, which is always very enriching. And this brings me back to my tagline, which is lead better, love better, and live better. And I'm very intentional about that, also about leading and loving, because I really believe that healthy and wholesome leadership is also about love. And loving is about leadership, right? That positive influence. And love isn't a soft word. Sometimes we think of it as a sort of a soft word, but love is about sacrifice.
Powerful.
Love is about caring. Love is strong and powerful, and love is committed, right? And so when we love our people, we will serve them. When we love our people, we will have difficult conversations. When we love our people, we will offer feedback, both positive and negative, and we'll do it it will come from the best place possible. So we'll do all of these things that need to be done in leadership, but it's just coming from such a good place, which is love. And that's transformative.
I love that. This is why I do what I do, right? Because we're so distant. We're in the same community. Sometimes we are in a group that we can't do the one-on-one, right?
Right.
And I do this to re-celebrate, get everybody back together. But I get to find out what you guys are doing, what you're working on, how we can serve together, right? That's what's really it is all about. And then yesterday was an amazing episode, because we actually had 4 guests that didn't know each other like at all.
Right.
Like not one single person knew the other. So they were literally connecting right here on this platform, which was beautiful to see, beautiful to witness. And that's a place from love. So that's what I seen when you were explaining that, how that happened yesterday. So
thank
crazy,
you,
right?
Nikki. And you make the world a better place, just one connection at a time, and connecting other people. And it's also about some of the other stuff I do is intercultural work, because of my international intercultural experience. So I do work in the DE&I space because I'm passionate about the dignity of the human person and all of its expressions. But also intercultural or cross-boundary leadership is it's becoming more and more common, but it's complex. And so people oftentimes don't have the tools or skill set to be able to lead across boundaries. And so to educate and to work as an advisor and consultant and coach for people that are in those roles, that's something that's also part of what I do.
Awesome. So we're definitely going to get how people can get a hold of you. I just want to absolutely thank you. Did we share about your experience? How was your experience on the show?
Oh, it was great. Yes, it was great. And I think it was just when I was getting started with podcasts. So you were wonderful to have me on the show to help me get educated in podcasting and to help share my story.
Yes.
And so I thank you for that.
You're absolutely welcome. I've seen you on other podcasts as well. So keep doing it. Keep sharing your story.
Okay.
Keep reaching the masses. And I will get you right back on here and we'll talk a bit more in a bit.
Great. Thank you, Nikki.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. So next we are going to go to, I believe she's in Canada. We will see. We may be international. Give me a nod if we're in Canada. Yes. All right. I got it. It's hard trying to keep up with so many communities, so many people, and they're just doing amazing things. And she is just wonderful. She was just recently on the podcast, but I've known her for some time through, again, the Business Leaders Network. And we are going to Canada and speak to Joanne, who is a breath coach, but lately, she's been doing a lot of other things, and I would love for you to share with us. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I am well. Share where you're from, what you do, and how did you get there?
I am in Southern Ontario. I just had a total brainwash there. Oh, my stars. Just went right out the window. I started teaching breath. I call it breath play, actually, because we work too hard as it is. So I help people alleviate stress and anxiety in their day-to-day life. And I do it in simple ways. Everybody's under the impression that you need pills and you have to do this and you have to sit for, hours on end to do this, that, and the other thing. And I'm all about simplicity and keeping it short, sweet, simple, so that it doesn't interfere with your day.
Yes, and I actually have someone that I'm bringing on shortly that's kind of in that wellness, embodying wellness space as well. And I think you guys need to connect if you guys haven't connected already. I won't tell you who it is. I'll bring her on in a bit. But we definitely been trying to connect for some time to get you on the podcast. We finally got you on. You shared some amazing things. And I know your journey didn't start off as a breath coach or some amazing other things that you have going on. You actually owned your own restaurant, right? And share a little bit about that and how that tied into switching into your new journey.
For almost 20 years, I ran a small restaurant in a small town. And of course, when you're in a small town, you end up coaching your customers as much as you end up serving your customers. And it's getting to know everybody on a personal basis. It was very easy for me to slip into the intuitive side of what they actually needed to hear in that moment. And I've brought that forward. I'm using the breath play as an introduction, but using your breath to alleviate stuff is like the tip of the iceberg. But 20 years of coaching people has just been, I don't know. I just love listening to people and hearing what they're saying when they're not actually using the words. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's very cool. So I've been using my the intuitive side, the inner knowing that we all have within us, to help people over the years, and it's just been such a treat to be able to do that.
That's awesome when you can find that reward, just that genuine being filled to the top, probably overflowing when you see the transformations that happen when someone can just sit still and really take on finding those answers with that silence, with that that breathing technique that you do, which is, I know you did some demonstrations on a couple of our masterminds where I took those, and I do it every once in a while. When things start getting a little stressy, I have to take my time to breathe. Yesterday, I had 9 calls. It was like mixed up with like virtual coffees, mixed up with some podcasting, doing this celebration and some masterminds for my community. But that's what keeps me going. That's what absolutely keeps me going. And it was just a pleasure to have you on to really share that with our audience. And what are you working on right now?
I am revising. I have a 3-week course and an 8-week course running. I'm just in the middle of revising them a little bit because I've updated some information. It's a constant learning journey. And I've taken a couple of new courses, and so I'm going to implement some of that new knowledge into the course that I'm offering for people. And because it's not just about the breath, it's not just about what you do, it's a combination of diet, exercise, and how you take care of yourself. And that's something I preach a lot on Facebook, is about self-care. And that's self-care goes a long, long way to alleviating your own stress.
Absolutely. That's awareness. That's a holistic, whole body, paying attention to every single thing, because if we're not well, how are we going to help others for the lifetime that we say we're going to do this, right? Because some of us kind of sleep, eat, whatever that terminology is, when we just don't do anything but live our dreams and our talents and what we're trying to really put out there and impact the world. And I believe that you are definitely doing that. I can't wait to connect and see where this all goes and what are your goals for the rest of the year. We're actually halfway through the year, right? Are we doing any reassessments? Are we, well, you just said, yeah, you're readjusting. That's kind of what I did with my notary program as well. I was able to, every time I had a new group, there was something that was either asked or I found out, what, wait, I had a new experience, let me add it. And I would go back to like group one and just update everybody on all the new stuff that I put together. So it's definitely, your business is definitely going to be ongoing, definitely adjusting, transitioning. And how do you handle that?
You know what? One step at a time. I used to be the one that had to do everything at the same time. Like it just, if I wasn't doing it and I wasn't taking care of it, then it wasn't getting done properly. As I've progressed through my journey, a lot of that, the pressure hasn't gone away. It's just that I'm dealing with it differently. And when I need help, I ask for help. It's something that was a learned thing along the way as well, because being a stubborn, square-head Virgo dragon person, I was born the year of the dragon. I'm a Virgo. I'm a perfectionist, and I know that. So, but learning along the way to ask for help has gotten me infinitely further than having to do it all myself. And it alleviates the stress.
Yes, that's perfectly well said. So how important is it to have a coach or outsource or kind of pass the baton when you're at that level where you're like, okay, I can't do it all. I need to build a team, space it out, let it go, and surrender. Because sometimes it's hard for us to surrender like those that control, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for bringing all of that up, because I think our viewers really need to understand every little bit. And these are just drips of how entrepreneurship works. And really, it's not easy, but it's so gratifying when you just understand what are the ingredients that are needed. And I think with our podcast and with showing the mindset of each of our guests, which is uniquely different, they're all in all different types of industries. So that's why I love just getting to know new people and chatting with you. You're in Canada, I'm here. I need to make my way there, but like I said earlier, we're actually going on tour, the Empower to Inspire community. So when we go out there, I will definitely keep you posted for sure. So thank you so much. And how was your experience on the show, being able to share what you do?
Oh, it was fabulous. It was like sitting, if we had been sitting in a coffee shop, it would have been that kind of discussion. You know, it was just wonderful sitting, chatting with you. I would love to do that again soon sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Send me your calendar. I'll send you mine, and we can do like a monthly check-in. I think I do that with a couple people that had asked for it, because it's important. It's important to stay connected, to see what new ways, because we're always evolving. And I think we're evolving like every day. It's not even like weeks, months. It's really every day, because we get a new idea, right? But thank you so much for sharing, and we'll definitely stay connected for sure. If you can stay with us till the end, I'll bring you back and so we'll get some more information.
Okie doke.
Thank you so much. And
Thanks.
now we are going to go right over the bridge. I'm in Philly, so she's right over the bridge. She is a Jersey girl. My friend, my sister, we are met her again back in May of last year. Seeing her journey, and we actually just had a virtual coffee this morning, or sometime this week. Was it this morning? It was okay. So we had a virtual coffee this morning, just catching up. She's part of Ladies of Leadership, and she's just doing amazing, amazing things. And that is Julia Gandy. How are you?
I am so good, Nikki. How are you? Yes, it was just this morning that we talked. I know. It's like,
It
what?
felt like so long ago. I had like, I think about 4 calls in between that. So yeah, that's how it works.
Right?
So how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's been, I still have my day job. So I'm, was out busy doing that and, building my business at the same time. And it's an interesting time right now, in my life and my family's life. So it's all about just, like you and Joanne were talking about, it's all about making sure you maintain your self-care and take time to relax and be with the family, because if you're building your business for your family, you want your family to enjoy the ride as well, so yeah, so it's an interesting time.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Yes, absolutely. And actually, Joanne, if you're listening to me in the green room, you need to connect with Julia. Have you guys connected before?
No, I have not. And also Matthew, I need to meet up with Matthew and Jonathan. We've been on calls together, so yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so definitely connect with those that you have not met before, and go back, and if you can, on the YouTube channel, go back and watch the past guests as well, because they all have something powerful that I believe when I see you guys, I'm like, oh my God, that's a great match. That's a great match. Like, I think you guys work well together. And, that's what we do in the CLA, BLN, AMA, is that we start getting together and we create stuff. Yeah. And when I created Ladies of Leadership, you were 100% on board. I just admire what you do. So tell us a little bit about that. And I know something new has just happened. And tell us about that.
Yeah. A lot of big things are happening, and it's been a journey, because it's been about 25 years that I've been in the wellness field, learning. Started as a massage therapist, and have since grown into being a wellness coach and really helping people find inner peace from not only a physical perspective, but also emotionally, spiritually, and mentally as well. So, these are things that we all need right now, no matter what we do for a living. There's a lot of things going on that have been stressful. The past few years have been very stressful. And so bringing our best, highest self to these troubling times can not only help ourselves, but also help society as well. So I've been a peace builder also for many, many years, advocated for peace, gone down to DC, did some really cool stuff. Because if we all want peace, then we all have to make that choice, and how just holding the door open for a person coming in the store behind us can be almost an act of peace building. So it's been a very just now melding all of this together into some community building. And I also have a new space in Marlton, New Jersey, where I do one-on-one, not only coaching, but also body work as well. And now melding all that together. So it's been like infilling myself with all these modalities that I've used for myself and for my clients, but I've used them through divorce, through cancer, through all these different things that helped me. All these modalities have helped me kind of get through all of that and still have grace, still have love, still really be able to be authentic in my journey. And so it's exciting. There's a lot of stuff coming in.
Yes, and I'm excited for you, because like I've said, I've seen the journey from just last year, what we have been doing in the communities we've been in. You've been on stages, you've released your book at the same time, as well. We were able to share that. But what really was the turning point for our growth was when we had some breakthroughs at Flashpoint, which was Austin J. Haynes' event back in October. How important is it to let our audience know to get in a room whenever there is an event or something that they're looking for, some type of transformation? How important has it for you to be in those rooms that you've even invested in, spoke on those stages, and how important is that?
Oh my goodness, it's so important because as well as virtual spaces can be, being in the room and connecting with people on a deeper level is enormously rewarding. And the different groups and Flashpoint in particular in the fall was astronomical in that growth, and just the connections, the deepness of those connections. And I was fortunate to be in the documentary for that, and even that has helped build my business, because we were the people that were in the documentary were kind of working together. So there's a lot of amazing things that happen from those events. And like Jonathan was talking about, the ALMA event in January, and met really great people there, and formed really deep connections. And it's being in the room, although it does take some investment, it takes time and time away from your family, it is very well worth it. And you have to work the room too. You can't just sit in the back of the room and watch everybody. You have to engage. And at your event, Nikki, in May, I talked about how I was a very shy person. I was great as a massage therapist because I didn't have to talk to anybody, and so getting out there and sharing who I am while I was building my business, my wellness coaching, it was getting out of my comfort zone every time I walked into a room. And that was back when you actually had to physically walk into a room. It wasn't, a virtual call. So, that was a big push for me, because it wasn't comfortable for me to do that, but it got easier. And now it's like, I'm a public speaker. What? How'd that happen? So and the great thing about these communities is everybody's building, right? Everybody's building their business, and we all know what each other is going through. So we can help, if somebody's having a bad day or a bad time, everybody rallies around that person and lifts up, and that's what the beauty of all these different networking groups are. And what you're creating in particular is this almost a safety net of where we can bounce ideas off of each other, and be heart-centered, and not feel like we're I'm giving away my ideas. It's like, it doesn't have that,
Doesn't happen.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, you bring up a great point. Navigating these communities and how do you really maximize on your investment, because some of these communities, though we have some free communities, we have some low paid communities, some high paid communities, everywhere in between, right? But our mindset is like, well, what am I going to receive? Sometimes we don't know. We don't know what that looks like. And when I got into these spaces, um, even going to that first event and just meeting new people that don't know me, and I got on a stage and spoke about something that I didn't know that was going to capture their attention. And I think a lot of people said before that I was really quiet at the very beginning, but it was just saying yes to myself, just getting in, and like, what can you lose? You're not obligated to anything. If you go a few months and you feel like you're not capturing the essence of what you're looking for, then you can totally walk away. But sometimes that is like just cutting yourself short, not even giving the opportunity. So I'm going to bring everybody back up, and I'm going to ask you guys a question on how I'm not going to say it yet. So thank you so much, Julia.
thank you.
We're definitely going to ask you some more questions about what you do and how people can get a hold of you. So I'm going to bring everyone back up. Let's go with Matthew, Jonathan, and Joanne. Hey, guys. We are all here. So I kind of wanted to ask a question, because Julia bring up a great point about being in these groups and how we really grow together, how we navigate through them, how we're so supportive. But how do you maximize the time that you're in these rooms whether it's a mastermind, like a 6 p.m. call on a Tuesday, or we have calls like all week long. So I'm like with all of you guys most of the time, right? So how have each of you maximized each opportunity every time you go into either an event or mastermind? Or can you give our audience like a tip of what has worked for you to elevate and scale your business? Hopefully that wasn't a long-winded question and you guys got it, but just let me know. We're going to go with you, Matthew, first.
Thank you. I actually have to say I think I can and I want to do better. I've had a lot of schedule conflicts, which I think a lot of people might experience that. So I just need to be more intentional. I want to be more intentional about some of those where there's networking calls and events, and to really just block them off where there's nothing else that can be scheduled there, which I haven't done. So that's an action point for Mark. So but it is, and there's so many. So you just kind of have to be selective about what will best serve you, if it's one or if it's two or if it's three, and kind of know what time of day, what's going to suit what you're looking for. At least in my case, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find probably two during the week, and I will nail those in, and I'll make sure I'm showing up, because that's how you really get benefit. If you don't show up, you don't really benefit that much.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you do show up, how do you maximize on those connections?
Right. Well, you first of all, you get a lot of content, good content from the calls, or just really deep conversations, and then you just kind of see who aligns, or where there could be a very strategic relationship, and you reach out to them. You get on a connection call, and so you're just constantly meeting new people, great people. And what I love about these environments is that everyone wants to collaborate. Everyone, it's not about me, it's about us, and helping all of us grow together.
I think that is an absolute true statement. Absolutely. That's what I have witnessed for sure. Jonathan, tell us what your thoughts are.
Oftentimes, when I ask somebody what networking is, they say it's who you know. I challenge that. Networking is not about who you know, it's about who knows you. You see, I can sit here and I can tell you that I know this person and that person. I know Dwayne Johnson simply because I've seen him in movies. But if you were to get Dwayne Johnson on the phone right now and you were to say, who's Jonathan Ellis? He'd say, I have no idea. Yet, when you have people that you connect with, you truly connect with, and they know who you are, that's where your real connection is built. Now, that goes both ways. You know who they are, they know who you are, because then you can pour into each other. You know, earlier today, I was on a call with Greg Reed and Bob Berg. Greg Reed also called me yesterday, just out of the blue. Bob Berg will be with us on Thought Provoking Change in just a couple hours. The point is, you go into a room and you can say, yes, I was there with them. Like, Julia, we've got to really connect after this call. Yeah, we've been in the same room with each other a couple times now, I think, between virtually and live. But yet we know each other's names, but we don't know each other. Mm-hmm. And that's where you really grow, is going in with the intent of what you're there for, but building a firm relationship with the people that are in your path. Because even if they can't pour into you, maybe you can pour into them. So again, it is all about, like I was talking about earlier, reciprocity. You pour into others and others will pour into you. But you start. You be the leader of it.
1,000%. That is a leadership mindset at its core. Absolutely. You definitely take that initiative. And I think we all do. We're all like, well, how can I serve you? Well, how can I serve you? And, right. And I love seeing that, that's in there. But there's so many people that we have to kind of bring them to that mindset. And they're out there. They're out there for all of us as coaches. And our job is just to kind of share what we know and what we've been through our experiences on these journeys. Some of us have had journeys longer than others, but we're still going for that same end result, right? And that's just to change the world any way that we can for the best, for our generations, for our legacies that we leave behind. So, and I think those are two great answers. Thank you so much, Matthew and Jonathan. We're going to go to Joanne.
I'm gonna actually mimic both of them. It's about connecting. It's about finding the person that feels good to you, and and asking for help. It's one of my big things. I'm always telling me it's okay to ask for help. So when you get into one of those rooms, you listen to, how people introduce themselves, and if it feels good, you follow up on it, make a connection, schedule the time in your calendar, set the alarm on your calendar because they all have them, and follow through, and then find out how you can help each other. And it's give and take. We're all about giving. Every single one of us, we're all about giving, 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 but you have to be able to allow yourself to receive, because until you receive, you can do all the giving in the world and it's not going to get you anywhere. So allow yourself to receive a little bit as well.
Absolutely. I am not sure where that sound is coming from. Joanne, did you want to mute yourself or I'm not sure. I'm hearing like a squish sound. Do you guys hear it? Okay. Well, hopefully that'll go away. But this is, the internet, and this is what happens, and nothing's perfect. I actually had a podcast that I did where my lights actually went out in the middle of the podcast, and that guest was on yesterday, and he just took over the show. And so I was able to get back on, and we questioned each other and said, hey, should we like cut that out? And we didn't. We left it in there. I posted it, and we are just honest, open, and transparent here at BALM Global, and nothing's perfect. And we want to make sure that people know that we're all human. We all go through some stuff, and it is okay because, we still have another day. And we may not have another day. None of us know that. So we have to take it for what it is and gather that peace within us that we can give ourselves grace for things like that. Julia, we're going to go to you. How do you maximize being in spaces?
What I've learned is to listen, and Joanne kind of touched on this, is really to listen to not only how I can help a person, but who in my realm, my family, my loved ones, people in my circles can be helped by this other person, right? So it's not just like how they can help me, but who in my circles can be helped by this other person. So it's like, if it's say for instance a CPA, oh, my aunt really needs a new CPA. She was just saying that, can I put you in touch with each other? Those are where you can really help not only the other person, but your own family members, your own friends, and your own circles. So it's not about listening just for me, but it's listening for people that I can put in front of this other person who's maybe looking for new clients, or for maybe they're looking for a CPA and I know a CPA. So it's really listening with a lot of intentionality, and being mindful of that. I might not be able to help them, but somebody I know might be able to help them. Or I may not need their services, but somebody I know needs their services. So it's listening with a bigger filter, So that's what I learned when I was learning how to network. And I was in BNI for a number of years, and that's very high intense networking, a big commitment. And so that was my big foray into organized networking. So yeah, that's intense, and to another point is, when we have so many different networks that we're involved in, and Matthew, you were talking about this, and I asked in one of my networks local here in South Jersey was, what do you do when you have so many different things that you want to do? I have this group, And one of the women in that group was like, if you have 5 different nights that you could, potentially we could have a networking call 2 or 3 times a night, 5 nights a week. And it's picking, this week I'm going to say this group and this group. The next week I'm going to do this group and that group. And then, so you're always you're present, but you're not overtaxing yourself, because we can get overtaxed and we don't want to burn out. We don't want to overextend ourselves, but we always want to be present. So it may not be every week, but it could be, once a month. It could be once a week, just kind of keeping a tab in. That's why I like, what you're doing with Ladies of Leadership too, is there's different avenues to stay connected, whether it's the Facebook groups or emails or those calls, the one-on-one calls. So it's maximizing what you can do with balancing your own personal life. So
Absolutely. You said some great, amazing things. And one of the things I wanted to kind of pull from there was being available, right? We have so many groups a week. What I love about them is that some of the groups have 2 or 3 calls in different times of the day, because we're international. We have people from South Africa, from Italy, from, so many other places that tune into these calls. And if they're staying up till 2 in the morning because we're on at 8 p.m., I don't know if that's really the time difference, but it has happened. Even in some other networking groups that I was a part of, that really tells what we're able to do, right? So I absolutely just love everything about being in these communities. What I would like to know is, what are your goals for the rest of 2023? We're about to get through halftime. We're about to enter the second quarter. So much has happened already. And what is just one quick goal that you want to hit by the end of 2023? And I'll start with you, Julia.
Well, I'm just about to launch my new community, and I would love to have 100 members in that community. So that would be an amazing, amazing feat.
Absolutely. Totally doable as well. Matthew.
Oh boy, you caught me off guard here with this one. I really, by the end of the year, I want to have 20 clients, individual coaching clients in the pipeline, and to have at least 2 speaking engagements a month.
Awesome. Again, so many opportunities to make that happen. And Joanne.
I do like my individual coaching, but I also want to set up a group coaching that I would like to do maybe twice a month. I'm still working out the details of my little brain here. But I'm also growing my community, and I would like to get that up to about 500 people by the end of the year. I'm not in a hurry, because it's people are under stress, but they don't want to admit they're under stress. So I'm just kind of have to, work through it. And then I have 2 other programs that I'm kind of playing around with in the back of my head. And then I've also got 2 books that I've got to get underway. They're all in draft, but while they're just sitting there in my computer, I'm like, I really need to do something about that.
Yeah,
choosing priorities.
Calendar. But that's awesome. Those are all great goals. They're definitely doable. Just stay focused and definitely hit those targets. Once they're off and you can check them off, that's like the most gratifying thing that you can do. But you said it here, so we're accountability partners, and we'll see how we can make that happen and how BALM can help you along that journey. So thank you so much for sharing. And Jonathan.
I love this question. I'm a very goal-oriented person. I have a retractable banner that has my goals for the year on it. And the beauty to it is you get to look at them, you get them in your face all the time. So it's fun checking them off. And several of them have already been checked off within the first 6 months. But I guess really from a work standpoint would be the thought-provoking change community, because that is how one of the ways that we inspire people. And I would like to see that to be at a minimum of 1,000 members by the end of the year. 6 months to go. We've got this. You've all got it. Let's go.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm going to just go around the room one last time. First and foremost, I want to just thank each and every one of you for again coming and chatting with me and spending some time so that I can publicly thank you for again just being on this journey and on this path alongside with me and my team and everything that we're doing. And we just wish you guys the best. But I'm going to go around the room real quick and just tell us, how can people get a hold of you and connect with you? So we'll start with you, Julie, first.
My business is Embodying Wellness, and you can look me up at embodyingwellnesscoach.com. And then I'm on Facebook as well. My name, Julie Gandy, and also Embodying Wellness. That's the easiest way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Matthew?
Thank you.
At bracketalliance.com or at Matthew Brackett Official on Instagram, Facebook, and Matthew Brackett on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Jonathan?
JonathanEllis.info is my personal website. Also, you can find me at thoughtprovokingchange.com and Jonathan Ellis Official, then the number 1 on Facebook, and Jonathan Ellis Official on most of the other platforms.
Perfect. Joanne?
Facebook is usually the easiest place to reach me, or email at breathtolifecoaching@gmail.com. I am on Instagram, but I'm not there as much as I'm on Facebook.
Don't worry, me too. I'm more on Facebook and Instagram as well. We have to pick and choose our battles, right? I absolutely love it. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to hear or see any of their podcasts, you just go to buildingaleadershipmindset.com, or you can go to on Spotify, Building a Leadership Mindset, YouTube. We are everywhere. Their stories are powerful, and you only got a glimpse of what they're working on now, but see how they got there. This is the whole point of really sharing our stories and sharing that, you know, there are going to be ups and downs, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. 50th celebration on our last 50 guests, 100 episodes completed, and we'll be back here Thursday and Friday with 2 more groups of amazing past guests, and then we're still recording for new guests for our next 50. So can't wait to share that. Thank you guys so much. Have a great evening, and as I always say, make it count.
Thank you.